Welcome, Jen. I'm so excited to talk to you today. And first and foremost, I have to ask you, how are you doing? Because I know this last month has been traumatic.
Matic is right. This past month has felt like 5 years. It's, 2025 has just been, I'm going to say Q4 of 24 is when the shit started to hit the fan.
Yeah,
I just feel like, I feel like you're like when there's like an earthquake and you're just like bracing for impact and you go under a table or in a doorway. Like that's what it feels like right now. And it feels still a little like you're waiting for aftershocks. Like we're still in the thick of it. But
yeah,
yeah, it's been crazy, but I am okay. I'm really proud of myself for showing up. I took 2 weeks to get settled. We did evacuate, lost our house. We took the kids and the dogs up to Seattle and we're settling up there and trying to find a new normal and new
yeah,
routine. I've been commuting. I'm in LA right now because I'm commuting to the offices Tuesdays and Wednesdays just to get like a lot of PD and just meetings and all these things like squared away and just honestly like get around community and the people that I love and do what I love. And that's helping me to like process.
yeah. So you're commuting back and forth between Seattle and LA multiple times during the week.
Once. So I
Once, okay.
left the house at like 4:15, 4:30, took the 6 a.m. to LA and we were a little delayed, but I usually get to the office by like between 9 and 10. And then I leave on
What?
Wednesday nights and go back.
Okay. Oh man. Okay, we're gonna continue to get into this, but I wanted to just start off by saying I don't know that you realize that like you have been my dream guest for my newsletter basically since I started it. And we were supposed to meet up when I was in LA January of 2022, and I was going to talk to you about it then, but life happened and like our plans fell through, so I didn't end up seeing you. And I was like, shit, what am I gonna ask her? And like, I have chickened out asking you to be a guest on my newsletter like so many times. Literally, there were so many times where I like was about to type out the message to you, and then I was like, no, because I don't know. I think I have like PTSD from like my past life as an editor. And because I don't have this big name behind me. I'm like, I don't want to put her in a weird position like where she feels, where she feels like she has to say yes, but she doesn't want to do it. I feel such a connection to you. And I really admire the way that you live your life and what you've built for yourself. And like, it has nothing to do about like your proximity to celebrities or like this glamorous life. I just think that you've really built something that feels so authentic to who you are, and like we get to watch you live through your values and even how your values and priorities have really shifted over the years now that you have a family. So I'm so excited to get into all of that with you today.
My God, I'm so happy to do this. And it's funny that I don't want to say that it's imposter syndrome, but whatever you're thinking, like the clout that being associated with like a magazine or a publication like brings you, it's like such bullshit. You're one of
I
my
know. And
people.
even then it was a fight though. Even then it was a
Yeah,
fight sometimes.
right. But I like this better because it's more like this is just like authentic. It's not,
Of
like
course.
no
There's
one's
no agenda.
Yeah, like I'm not being told I have to go and do this. Like I get to just like generally talk to somebody who I respect as well. And I think,
Yeah,
as Pisces, we we understand each other's crazy. And I love that
truly.
you do this. And I love how much like your content really hits me because it's like so well thought out. You have such good intentions and you're really great at storytelling and being really just real about what you're going through. And like you're like my little Carrie Bradshaw. And I secretly like am so jealous of your life.
So funny.
And I just like, yeah, I'm happy that we can talk together and like not, just DM and
I
I'm
agree.
so happy to take this break and just like the office meetings today and like have a
And have a real
conversation.
chat.
Yeah.
Yes. So the first question I always ask all my guests is, what were you like as a kid? Like pre-teen Jen Atkin, who was she?
Spunky. So spunky. My mom always tells me stories about like I had to wear what I wanted to wear. I was very like sure of myself from a really young age.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's like, I think it's the Pisces of it all, but like I was adopted at birth. And so I also think there's something that like I was actually chatting with Olivier from Belmont yesterday about this because he's adopted as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's this weird like you feel chosen. You feel like chosen and you feel special and you feel like I don't know. I always just felt so like supported and loved. So yeah, I was really spunky and artistic and creative from a young age.
Did your love for hair come in to play at that age, or was it older? Was there a moment or a person that inspired that interest?
So cliche, but it was definitely Barbie. I
Love
love,
it.
yeah, I wrote about it in my book that like I was a product of like the 80s where it's like I was watching a lot of TV. I
Of
loved
course.
like makeover scenes in movies. I loved like Shoot Beverly Hills, Can't Buy Me Love, She's All That. And like that movie Mannequin, I remember as
Mm-hmm.
like loving the concept of like glam and also watching like George Michael and Madonna and Paula Abdul. Like I just loved the idea of like what hair and makeup could do to somebody. And it was before we had this like close up look on celebrities and what they look like outside of being at work.
Right.
So I just like loved, I don't know, I loved the glamour of it all. So I definitely Barbie was my first client. And I'd say like in high school is when I started like cutting my own hair and cutting my friend's hair. I wanted Natalie
Fun.
Imbruglia's haircut from the Torn video. So I would like,
Oh, yes.
oh, it would take me, I'd go through like 3 packages of like Gillette razors. I used to get Floria, cherry cola hair color and like dye my own hair. Like I don't know. Yeah, I loved just, I think I also grew up in a very conservative Mormon community. So when you ask what I was like as a kid, I was very much like, this is too boring and sepia. I need bright color. You know what I
I was
mean?
about to say, did you were kind of like ostracizing yourself, I'm sure, because you wanted to like play and have like fun colored hair and just be different.
Yes. It was just too vanilla, too granola. I needed like I was like, I didn't know gay men existed. And then like when I started working in a salon and I actually like made some of my best friends are gay and I was like, okay, this makes sense. Now I found my people and like this is what I've been waiting for my whole life.
Were your parents supportive of your interest in hair and creativity?
I think that they never thought it could be a job. And to be honest, neither did I.
Right.
Neither did I.
Right.
Like we have like a small salon in town called United Hairlines. My mom like got a haircut by the same woman for 30 years. They just never thought it could be a career. And yeah, so but I'd say it's definitely supportive. Like when I now that I have kids too, I'm like my parents let me leave at 19 the like bubble of Utah and like the Mormon
Mm,
church and move to LA and like they were so scared. 'Cause my parents had never touched alcohol, coffee. I barely watched rated
wow.
R movies growing up.
Wow.
I was Disney, 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 Disney. So like I think looking back, like it could have gone really bad. You know, it could have gone bad, but I,
Right.
I was really, I don't know if like protected is the word, but I was really, yeah, I feel like somebody was like watching over me because I could have, there was some debauchery that was had, but like it could have been bad. And I was really lucky. I was always in the right place at the right time and like guided to the next step and next chapter.
Yeah. Because I'm sure like, your first like steps into LA, you're like, oh my God, what is this like playground and how different it is from where you grew up?
Yeah, yeah. Like I got here and I remember I was working as a receptionist at a salon and like Jessica Alba was one of the clients that would come in, and I'd like get to meet her, and like Stevie Nicks would come in, and Bette Midler,
Oh, wow.
and Brittany Murphy, and I was just like, this is heaven. Like I get to feed these people's meters. Like if I would have gone home, then I would have been so happy, you know? Uh, but no, it was so fun. I got to like go to clubs and really
Shake
like
your ass.
shake my ass. Yeah, for the first time ever. But I really got to like see culture too. Like
Right.
for me, I was always watching on the TV, but I got to see, like I grew up with like the original Beverly Hills 90210. And
Hmm.
I remember coming here and the first place I wanted to go to, and I had a Thomas guide. I wanted to go to Rodeo and I ended up on Rodeo. And I was like, wait, this is so different.
You're
This
like,
isn't what I remember.
no.
But yeah, I remember just being here and being in awe and just in love with like everything LA had to offer.
Did your success feel linear?
So I started working as a receptionist. They asked me to be the salon manager, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing. Like I get to learn business." And I got to really watch like hairstylists and learn, I saw a lot of hairstylists that had a lot of like clothes in their closet and not very much money in their bank
Yeah.
account. And so I got to kind of like watch that. I saw,
Mm,
this is the time when like a lot of these creatives were older than me, so they were like partying in the 80s and 90s and then kind of kept that going and didn't. Yeah, I saw a lot of people get kind of stagnant,
yeah.
and then from there I got to go, and I'm trying to think, I couldn't afford hair school. So like I did an apprenticeship program
Hmm.
with the like adult occupational center downtown LA. And so that was amazing. I felt like once I got my cosmetology license, I was like, oh my God, the sky's the limit. I
Yeah.
started working as an assistant. I worked at a couple salons like on Melrose Place, one on Robertson. Then I finally got a job at Chris McMillan Salon assisting Andy LeCompte, who was
Mm,
Madonna's hairstylist. And he was very young
yes.
and such a great mentor. And so I went on Madonna's tour doing the dancers and got to like travel the world, which was
Oh, that's
so
amazing.
life-changing for me. And I was like 20, probably 26 at the time. And then I just kept assisting. I assisted editorial stylist. And then my big break, I'd have to say, was probably I was doing extensions for a lot of Andy's clients. So like Nicole Richie and Lindsay Lohan,
Hmm.
Barton, and all those girls that were like the it girl.
Wow.
And it was like the heyday of LA. It was like the last time you could dance on tables, not have it.
Without someone taking a photo.
Yeah, it was so fun. And then from there, I was assisting and I went on the floor. I started working really hard, and you just pray that like a publicist would come in and like have a good client and like they'd like how you did their hair. That was like
Right.
the only way to really get like seen back then. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what happened. And I met some really great publicists who are still friends to this day.
Hmm.
I got to do Sofia Vergara, and that was right when Modern Family
Oh,
was
love that
airing.
show.
It was so fun. And
So
so
good.
she was blowing up. And so I got to really kind of like watch her and her work ethic and learn from like her team. And I love them. I also got to go and do the shows. So I met John Galliano through Lorraine Schwartz and got to
Oh,
go to
wow.
my very first Met Ball with John, and he went with Marion Cotillard, and we hit it off.
I had no idea that you did John Galliano's hair.
So Chrissy, I'm over there with John. He hired me to do his hair for the fashion shows. Anna Wintour, Kate Moss backstage. It was like a movie. I was literally Devil Wears Prada. And while I was there, I would go and sneak backstage to assist Guido on any of the shows he was doing. And back in the day, they would just have names written on a piece of paper, and I would just like
Right.
show up with my kit, pretend I would just like walk the walk. I'd look on a piece of paper and give a female name, and like would get in and just squeeze my way in and work on like, and Guido is so incredible. Like we were doing like McQueen shows. We were doing like every single major show. And
Yeah.
Pat McGrath, who I love. So yeah, that was like hair university for me. And I came back to LA and I just felt really confident in now like my skills.
Yeah.
And I met Kim Kardashian. She saw work that I did on Sophia, and Kim, I mean, I met Kim and worked with her and her sister's in like 2011. So
Yeah.
it's been that long. And then, we just all have kind of like grown up together and the rest is history. And,
Truly.
so I've had so many like milestone big break moments and it's unbelievable to me.
I mean, your career has truly been so amazing to watch. And I mean, even, the years that I was at Bazaar, I was never on the beauty side, but for the last like few years that I worked there, I sat next to our beauty editor, Jenna Rosenstein, and so it's like I was always paying attention to like who she was talking about, writing about, and you just obviously became like such a household name because of all the people that you were working with. You were everywhere. Your book, you had this big New York Times feature. I remember the day that came out because I was also good friends with Brian Smith, who was at the Wall Group.
Oh,
He's the
yes.
best. He's the
He's
best.
so sweet.
Um, yeah, like I can't even imagine like how crazy your life must have been for years and years and years. And you have been pretty open about like you were addicted to work.
Yeah,
Well,
majorly.
what did that look like for you?
I mean, at the time, I didn't know that it was an addiction. I think like it's weird. It was a weird situation for me because it wasn't like I was getting off on like attention or like I don't
Right.
like I don't it's so strange. Like I wish I got validation in like getting recognized at the airport or you know what I mean? Like people knowing who I am because of the people I work with or like any like accolades, the New York Times piece, all that stuff. I've grown to look back on it and feel proud of myself, but in the moment,
Yeah,
I was just like a people pleaser taking care of everybody. And
right.
my clients became like my friends, and my clients, we have such an intimate relationship because when you're in the glam chair day after day, you know everything about each other's lives. And
Truly. You're also like a therapist. I feel like anyone in the like stylist, makeup, hair roles, you become also a therapist.
1,000%, I put in the hours of
You're
helping.
like, I should have my degree.
Literally, yes, 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 yes. Every hairstylist in the salon knows this too. It started there and then it went on set. But
Yeah.
and also I'm in people's homes and just you become
Right.
so like intimate. And so for me, it wasn't even like I need to get my bag or even about money. I swear to you, I did not even know how much money I had in my account. I know at a certain point I was like, I need to hire somebody who's good at managing money.
All
And
right.
that I did. But, I was just really like, I think addicted to caretaking and not taking care
Mhm.
of myself, but taking care of others.
Wow.
And then, I just got to a point where it was like, I kind of grew up I think being told you don't say no and you accept any opportunities that come your way. And
Mhm.
that was like hardworking. And you also have to understand at the time when I was coming up, like I did not know any successful female, like mainstream hairstylist. I knew Sally Hirschberg,
Totally. Right.
who I respect so much. And I knew like Odile Gerbert. And like that's it. So
Yeah.
I didn't really have like
So true.
I didn't have like a benchmark for what like a female hairstylist in this industry like looked like or what, I was always just a man's world. So yeah, I would say like I kind of realized I was miserable about 8 years in. It was 8 years of just never being home, missing birthday parties, missing weddings, not like connecting with my friends the way that I wish I could have because I was just like tired and jet lagged and busy, busy, busy. And it was also amazing. Listen, like I felt
Of
bad
course.
cleaning in my head because I'm like, I'm at the Cannes Film Festival, I'm at the Met Gala, I'm at all these places, Paris Fashion Week. And it was so fun and so
Right.
like
You wouldn't take it back.
everything I could have ever dreamed of. In Dubai several times a year. Like I saw and met some incredible, incredible people. But there was a point where it wasn't sustainable and I was just like, I am not happy and I got to figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can relate to that as well. I mean, being in this industry, I think across the board, like no matter what position you're in or whatever, like we all experience that to a certain degree. And, um, I feel like covering events when I was at Bazaar was a way that helped me make a name for myself. I was at everything that from like these like charity galas to the store openings to whatever. It was like I went to all the events and I met all the people, the DJs, the this, the that. And it helped me so much in my career. But then it got to a point where I was like, I'm out at the very least 4 nights a week. And then the weekend rolls around and I'm too tired to see my friends who most of my closest friends don't work in fashion or don't work in like the same area that I do. And they have energy to be going to brunch and doing things. And I'm like, I can't talk to anybody. I'm exhausted.
Yeah. Oh my God, I hear that so deep in my soul, Chrissy. Mike would call it, my husband now, but boyfriend at the time would call it the Saturday night meltdown. And I literally did not want to talk to anyone. And our job is so social that like
Mm,
I didn't have time to even listen to my own thoughts.
yeah.
So I feel that. And that's when I kind of realized something was off and wrong because that wasn't my nature. My nature
Right.
was social butterfly Pisces with that rising.
Of course. You got the
So
fire.
life of the party. And I just was like a shell of myself and I felt like I needed to figure it out. And, it's interesting. I mean, I always end up talking about Hoffman somehow, but
Well, that was gonna be my next question is this what led you to go to Hoffman Process? Because I know you're a huge advocate for it and you talk about it quite often.
yeah, it's so funny. I was at a party and Katy Perry, who I'd worked with for years,
Mhm.
me randomly and was like, "You need to go. How are you?" And I was like, and I was honest with her. I'm like, "I'm tired. I'm really just like tired. I don't know what to do. I'm not like super happy." And she's like, "You need to go to Hoffman." And I was like, "Okay." And I do it to people now all the time. And I realize on the other end, you're like, "Okay, thanks."
Mm.
And, because she grew up Baptist and she just knows,
Mhm.
I grew up Mormon and she was like, "I'm telling you, we feel like we have it all figured out. And we like left this church and we left our family and what they believe in. And like, she's like, deep down, there's stuff still there. Just go and like check it
Totally.
out." And by the way, Chrissy, I was literally like, "Are you joking? Like, I left the Mormon church. I created this amazing life for myself. I've got this great career. Like, I have checked all the boxes. I'm
Mm.
independent. I don't need a man. Like, I got this."
Yeah.
And she changed my life. Like literally, I got to the point, it was like probably a year after she said this.
Mhm.
It stuck with me. And I signed up. It's a psychotherapy camp. It's like 5 days. And to be honest, it was the first time I haven't had a phone for 5 days in a really long time. And you just go and do a lot of like psychotherapy work, one-on-one stuff, group stuff. You don't have to share in the group if you don't want to.
Mhm.
And it just gave me, I think, in a way, when I shed religion, I kind of felt like I was lost at sea.
Mm.
And I knew that like being a good person was instilled in me. I had good morals. I was in a loving home. I have two great parents who gave me so much confidence and all the love. And I didn't know a bad day until I was like 39. Swear to
Yeah.
you. I just was
Well,
like the Truman Show or like Elf. I was like, everything's gonna work out. Everybody's okay. We're all gonna be okay.
that's your Sagittarius, that like eternal optimist.
Like maybe some call it toxic positivity, but and I
You're like,
just
but it works for me.
right. So when I was at Hoffman, I was like, oh shit, like things I haven't dealt with this. And like, there is a little bit of guilt there and a little bit of shame. And like I need to learn that the biggest thing for me when I was there was I never wanted kids. I didn't want more responsibility. I kind of felt like working with celebrity was a sneak peek into what it was like to being like a toddler mom. And I was right.
Right.
It's not about you. It's not about you. You're
Mm.
there to take care of somebody who's got strong opinions and strong feelings. And like you are there to support the waves of their emotions and support, right? So I just didn't want kids. And I felt like the world didn't need more people in it, yada, yada, yada. Came out of Hoffman and I was like, I deserve to love in that way. I deserve to love a child. I deserve to
Wow.
experience this in my lifetime. I came home, I told my husband, I was like, we need to have a baby. And he was like, well, we were going to like 6 years ago. So that was the thing that changed for me the most. And then, I think I realized that the things that I had been putting all of my energy and effort into was not
Mm,
letting me back anymore. And it really
right.
helped me to reprioritize my life and my goals and not make it about work and actually start living a life and creating a life for myself.
What was the most challenging part of being at Hoffman?
Tapping into any resentment that maybe I was still lingering on with my family and the way I was raised is like, I mean, there's some great parts about the Mormon church, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
it is
I'm
a
so
cult.
uninformed when it comes to like Mormonism, so I don't really even know what it all
Okay,
entails aside from like highly conservative.
okay, highly conservative, multiple wives. Women are meant to dress modestly. You're not to partake in anything that's like addictive, but yet there are multiple wives in the history of the church. And
Right. I did watch Big Love, but that was years ago.
okay, so you kind of get the gist.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like men hold the priesthood in the house, so they're able to, it's like a hierarchy. And
Mm,
men are really meant to kind of be there and raise children. And it was just so conservative and it didn't resonate with me. And I felt like
right.
I still had like a little bit of like an anger about it and towards it. And
Yeah.
you see that pop up sometimes on my social. You know what I mean? Like I have this like inner I don't want to say it's rage because it's more of like I have this like purpose to continue to make things more equal for women and for
Yeah.
marginalized groups. And
Yes.
I grew up with this like oppression. And so while I work in like Hollywood and glam and blah, 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 I also still feel like a responsibility to use my platform to create opportunity and to continue the efforts of, fighting that oppression. And so Hoffman, for me, the hardest part was tapping into that inner anger because I was taught to not be angry ever,
Mm,
that it was bad.
wow.
So it really helped me to learn the tools to channel the anger and turn it into something positive. And it's like 10 years of therapy in 1 week.
Had you been to therapy previously or been interested in any kind of like personal growth?
Yes. And
Okay.
so we'll say it's like painting a picture and then putting it away in a drawer, and then painting a little bit more and putting it away in a drawer. And for
Right.
Hoffman, I got to finish the picture.
Mm,
That's what it felt like to me.
interesting.
I now have seen like over 100 friends and family members go and like just tap into who we were pre this and who we were pre social media and like get back to kind of the basics.
Yeah. I know it's funny. I wrote a newsletter, I don't know, maybe in November or December about some inner child work that I had done with my therapist. And a couple people messaged me being like, you should go to Hoffman.
I know
uh,
it's annoying. I'm sorry. It's so annoying that when you go, you're just like, you want it for the whole world. Like, I
of
want
course.
to send everybody because it's just something that like I've never seen before. It really, and I love psychotherapy. I'm really all about it, you know? And
Yeah.
so you're there and you're just like, what the hell am I doing? This is crazy.
It's like an intensive. I think the thing that scares me the most about Hoffman, from what I've heard, is that you're not even allowed to have like books or a journal with you.
You can journal. No, you can journal.
Oh,
Really have you
okay.
journal.
I guess,
You
yeah,
do a lot,
you
you do a lot of
from
writing work.
therapy.
You do
Okay.
a lot of writing work. But yeah, you're not supposed to have like an iPad or cell
Distractions.
phone or like distractions. It's really,
Right.
and I mean, Chrissy, I am not a crier and I didn't cry in front of anybody, although I felt
Mm,
like it. But then I would go back to my room and just like sob. And, I don't know how else to describe it other than like it's like getting back in touch with the inner child and learning to
yeah.
be an adult for the first time in your life and like
Yeah.
take care of that child and show
Yeah.
up every day for that child. And
Yeah.
it's stuck.
Yeah. I know. I feel like um, a lot of what I've been working on in therapy is also like in a similar vein in the last year or so. Um, and I think, yeah, that's something that I feel like people actually like don't really hold as much when they think about like what therapy is for or what something like Hoffman is for. It's like you're actually trying to like peel back the layers that have like covered up who you are like at your core. Like that is the true essence of who we are. Like, do you ever read your old report cards and stuff like that from your teachers from like when you were in elementary school, if your parents ever saved any?
No, I don't have any.
Oh my God. I have a couple, and I just always am in awe of the fact that teachers can actually like really see who you are. Like my first grade teacher wrote on my report card that I was a prolific writer. First grade.
Crazy. I hope you
You
frame that. That's so special.
I know I should frame it. I have a photo. It's like in a box somewhere and I have a photo of it on my phone, but I found it just like in the last 5 years or so, like since I've been living back at my parents' house. And I'm like, that is actually fucking crazy to me that at whatever, 6, 7 years old, that this teacher could see that in me and how much I love to write. And I think it definitely came out more as I got older. Like I think when I was in third grade, my teacher like selected me to like work on this like special writing project where I got to make my own book. So it was like the things were always there, even though then when I was at Bazaar, I had such a conflicted feeling about writing. I hated it when I was at Bazaar. I hated if anyone called me a writer because in reality, I never got into the industry because I wanted to write about fashion. I just wanted to be the one that picked out all the cute stuff that people wanted to buy. But
Yeah.
because I ended up on the digital side, I had to write. And of course, I know how to write, so I did it. But I was like, I don't want to write about like what celebrities are wearing every
Yeah.
time they leave their home.
Yeah.
That's
No,
that
that's so hard too, because it's like it takes the joy out of it when it's like you have an assignment you have to do a certain
like,
way of
oh,
writing.
I remember the one thing that absolutely sent me over the edge is one of my colleagues had assigned me to write about Meghan Markle wearing Harry's windbreaker that he had worn the day before. I was like, this is not a story. I will not write this. This is insane. So, would you consider Hoffman as like a spiritual awakening for you?
I think it helped me to find my spirit because I feel like when I
Mm.
left the church, I was like, fuck this, fuck religion, fuck all of it. You know what I
Right.
mean? And then
Yeah.
I was like, wait, there's a really beautiful part of it. And, Hoffman calls it like your spiritual self. Like you do what they call
Yeah.
like their meditation is called a quad check, and you're dealing with your emotional side, your body, and
Mm-hmm.
your intellect and your spiritual self. And the spiritual self is like the unpatterned you. So like
Mm-hmm.
take mom and dad's patterns, it's just
Right.
who you are at your core. And so it helped me to realize that like that exists still and it will always be with me no matter what. And that's what I mean about the shame and the guilt. I was like,
Yeah.
even though I don't believe in the Latter-day Saint religion, I still can be spiritual. And it really helped me to kind of find that again.
Yeah. Since you've left Hoffman, what do you do to take care of the younger Jen?
Oh my God. It's so weird. I feel like my life is a movie sometimes because things just really happen in the order that they're supposed to. I went to Hoffman. My husband and I decided like let's have a baby or two. And COVID hit. The emotional aspect of that was really heavy and hard in so many ways for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Also that presidential election hit me really hard. Um, And then cut to the kids brought so much joy, and there's so many wonderful things that happened also. but we moved houses to be in a more family-friendly area of Los Angeles, and within like a month of living in this house, lost our dog in front of me to a coyote.
Yeah.
And that broke me. When I say like that was like my first time really tapping into loss and sadness in a way that like I know it's a dog, but like my dogs are like
Yeah.
my
I
children.
know.
So it was really hard for me. And then I lost my father 2 years after that. And so that was almost like my like dress rehearsal to like the feeling of loss. But yeah, talking about like inner child work, when I lost my dad, it was like that feeling when your parents would go away on vacation and you were young and you would be scared and wonder if they're going to come back, but you
Yeah.
know they're not coming back. And it was that like little girl that I had to show up for big time.
Mm,
And, you know, so I think that like as an adult, Hoffman for me came at the perfect time because I'm able to love in a much richer and more like profound way. I was able to show up for my kids. I was able to scale back on work. I was able to like trust people at work and like and start really like just peeling back and like I said, like creating a life for myself and also giving myself the space to like grieve, you know, and then we just lost
yeah.
my home in the fire and like I find myself going back to a lot of the Hoffman that I mean, I saved my Hoffman books, if that tells you anything, just the writings of me like figuring out like mom's patterns, dad's patterns, what I want
Mhm.
to work on, how I'm working on it. And like, you know, it's kind of like my own report card. But, you know, for me, like Hoffman has gotten me through so many hard things in my adult life. And, you know, it's still hard. It's not like it fixed everything, but it
Of
helps
course.
me to show up and like self-regulate in those hard moments.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the family piece because I like I love that you came to this realization that you actually wanted to have children. And I think, there's a lot of women who have been in your same shoes, who, are very dedicated to their career and love their life and love their freedom. Like I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm like, I don't really know if like having children is the path for me. So the fact that you came out with such clarity after doing Hoffman is really interesting to me. And yeah, and like take me through like you obviously talked to your husband and he was just like, okay, let's do it.
Oh
Could
yeah. Yeah, I mean, but we had complications. My both kids are via surrogate, and
right,
Dr. Wong was so amazing and helpful, and you know that's also an emotional like roller coaster. And we waited. We were really, you know, I'm going to be 45 next month, and my son is going to turn 4. So, um, you know, we had frozen embryos
okay.
I wanna say maybe 6 years before my son was born, so it was kind of like
Oh wow, okay, so you had like you had a safety net.
yeah, I knew to do that. I'm so grateful I was able to do it, and but I also you know what's weird, Chrissy, is, like, I also in that whole process was like, if it's not meant for us, like,
Right,
I was adopted, I'm open to adopting. I
right.
would love to adopt one day, and, like, I knew that there's not just that one path, and I knew that
Mm-hmm.
you know, my own experience is like I'm not my mother's biological daughter, but like she loves me even
Of
more than
course.
my sisters. So anyways, yeah, I was so grateful that we were able to do it. And but it's hard, Chrissy. It is hard. All those things that you're telling yourself, it is
Mm,
such a sacrifice. It is so
right.
and I try to be really real about it without like sounding too much of like a pessimist, but and it comes down on women in a really different way than it does men. It's like you give up so much, you gain so much. It's so true. You've heard it
Yeah.
all. Um,
Right.
I think we don't share too much of it because we don't want to scare everyone who's about to get into it, but you know, you get the gist.
Is
It's
it what you envisioned?
yes. I would say at times it's a little bit harder than I thought it to be.
Mhm.
And also, it's this like, I don't even know how to describe it. My son walked in our room yesterday morning and goes, Mommy, Daddy. let's spend time together. And you're just like, your
Oh,
heart is just, it just is like the most incredible love. It really is. I just look at his face and my daughter's face, and I'm just like, oh my God, I just want to squeeze your cheeks.
I mean,
Like,
obviously, like, River is so cute, but I'm like, Sloane is literally what dolls are made to look like. She is like the perfect little and
and she's smart and she's funny.
with her bangs, of course.
She will always have a cute haircut.
She'll always, oh my God. But she literally, like, she looks like a doll.
Yeah. Oh, but that's what I mean about how it's a little bit harder. So to give you a
Yes.
perspective, my son, I'm not worried about. I feel like he's like goofball. He's a little bit of like Farley energy, and like, but also can remind me sometimes of like, wait, who's that cute guy from The Gentleman, the actor?
Oh, yes. Theo James.
Theo James. Okay, so that's my son. He's Theo James
Yes.
and Chris Farley. So I'm not worried about him.
Yeah.
And my daughter, I'm just like, oh, I'm such a feminist through and through that I just look at her and I'm just like, I need to prepare you in so many different ways for life and how to navigate it and how to like find your strength and your like resilience and your confidence. And it's already happening. I see it. She's an Aries.
She's an Aries.
I know. I know. So maybe I just need to tone it down and keep her humble.
Like,
It's fine.
she's gonna be okay. She's got that fire energy.
I know. I just want to like, I just feel
I
like I
know.
protect her from all the things in the world, you
Of
know?
course.
And I
What's
can
your favorite thing about being a mom?
probably, we have I'm such a routine planned out. Like,
I could see
so we have
that.
like pizza night on Tuesdays and we have Saturday mornings. We've been going to this cooking class and ceramics class with
Yes.
kids. And then
So cute.
Sunday's pajama day where we stay in our pajamas all morning and like
Wait,
watch
that's so
TV.
cute.
So fun. So that's like the funnest for me. It's just like that special family time together.
Yeah, and like
And then also
creating these
putting them,
traditions.
yes, and putting them to bed is the best. Like when Mike and I have from 7:30 to like 10:30, 11 to just like binge watch stuff, like that's great too.
Of course. Um, Also, can we talk about what is it like to be married to another Pisces?
Do you know what's weird? My time in the salon, I asked everybody their astrological signs.
Yeah.
I have noticed through the years, first of
Mm.
all, astrology is so real. It's insane. Shout out to Rosie, my astrologer.
Yes.
But I have noticed that signs that marry the same sign tend to do really well.
Sometimes for sure.
I have two other friends who are
Mm,
married to somebody within a birthday within like 4 or 5 days of each other. And it's like they just get each other. So for
funny.
me, being with an emotional Pisces man,
Right. That's why I'm really asking because of the emotions.
well, I think it comes down to also love language. His is physical touch and words of
My husband.
affirmation.
Mm.
And I'm so bad at both of them. I'm like, "You pay for
Really?
it." Oh yeah, I'm so bad at them. And mine is acts of service.
Of course. Okay.
So like,
Wow.
yeah, I think we've been together now 15 years, which is crazy.
Oh my God.
And I think, one of the hardest things is you're still evolving, you're still growing, and you still have like, shit to work through. And like both of us,
Hmm.
the Hoffman, that helped a lot
Yeah.
because we can communicate emotions in a way that's not like they're there and they're showing up here and there, but we're like, actually, we can talk about it. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a dance for sure. Like I recognize the Pisces emo.
Hmm.
So like I'll snap him out of it. Or like the other day I was listening to Mel Robbins and I was so inspired by one of her episodes that I wrote a little post-it and said, I believe in you. You can do hard things,
Mm,
and put
yes.
it in his bathroom. And he like loved that, That's kind of like the
Good.
song. And like he, for me, was like, you deserve to have a life. Slow down. You don't have to say yes to everything. And like you've done everything you want to do. And like really helped me to like make big changes in my life.
Now, has that been tricky for you, the sort of like pulling back from work so that you can dedicate more time to your family?
No, no. And that's how I know that I'm doing what I should be doing. because
Right.
I love both. Like I am making this commute to LA from Seattle because I love the team. I love what I do. I love creating. I love marketing. I love PD. I love it all. And I also like the same way that I recognize that my kids are only going to be this small for so
Mhm.
long and I need to like take every second and just like cherish it. I feel the
Yeah.
same way about my brands in Sephora. That's so twisted. Like, I know that like I'm not gonna always have brands in Sephora and in Ulta and like Ouai is now at a place where we have like 85 people. I don't know everybody. We're able to go overseas and do these incredible things, and the brand is growing like internationally, doing so well. I'm still having so much fun, and I'm like, this is what I dreamed of in 2014. We're now in 2025, and I get to be here and like witness it, and it is so fun. So like I it's not going to be like this forever. So I'm just trying to show up and like and really be in the moment and be present for all of it.
I love that. I feel like I realized, or I just remember this moment. Maybe it was when like the Met Gala finally resumed in the post-pandemic world and you didn't go. And I remember messaging you and being like, "Wait, you're not there?" And you're like, "No, I'd rather be at home," or something, like you just said something that I was like, "Oh yeah, she's changed." Like,
Yes, I have. I mean, I think also I'm only one person and like
of course.
I don't want to show up and be half-ass either. I feel like if anything, I have been really cognizant about like where I'm at in my life, where I'm going to next.
Mhm.
How do I shift it where everybody, like I said, I'm the people pleaser caretaker, where everybody is going to be okay. And so at the time, like my assistants, Amanda Capomaccio and Ironel De Leon were like, I was just getting them ready to kind of like create their own lives and own careers. And they put in the time and the work with me when I was like grinding, right? And so
Yeah.
that's when the agency came to be. Mary Phillips and I both have like all of our amazing
I know, so
um,
brilliant.
old assistants and like really great talents that we all believe in. And so that's been really fun to like watch them step up and they're crushing it. And to be able to like mentor them and just like watch them and do it in a way where it's not like our only thing. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like we're not like hovering over them, but we're there to like help guide and shape and like give them advice. And also they
Yeah.
have to take care of like a lot of my clients and dear friends at a really crucial time for me. And so I have been able to really like it's been a win-win for everybody.
Yeah. You're still obviously you have so much going on. You have Way, you have Maine, you have this agency. How do you continue to balance like ambition with contentment?
Again, I'm super regimented in my day and I like have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for work.
Mhm.
My kids are in classes doing their thing. And then like I now have Friday to Monday to wife and mom and friend and
Mhm.
like be the housewife I never wanted to be, but I love being. You know what I mean? I'm in there in the pantry. I'm like organizing things and cleaning things out. And like I also like flourish doing that too. And so, that's it is a job. It is a job. It's
Of
like
course.
wish it paid.
You're
Um,
a homemaker.
yes, but like, yeah, I'm happy to be doing it all. And when I'm feeling overwhelmed, I like know when to like tell the team, like, I'm not happy right now. I'm not like I'm showing up for myself.
Yeah.
But for right now, I'm doing okay. Yeah.
What does self-care look like for you?
Must,
Emotionally, mentally, spiritually?
okay. Self-care emotionally is, I think it's like honestly having time for myself. Like I've had to show up
Right.
for myself emotionally a lot the past month.
Yeah.
It's like I put the kids to bed, Mike's in the other room, and it was like that like 11:30 to like 12:31 a.m. moment for me to just sit and cry. And cry about the loss, cry about the loss of lives, the loss of animals, the loss of like LA as we knew it.
Mhm.
And also like process the trauma of like evacuating,
Of course.
getting my kid out of his preschool that was in the Palisades. Like there was so much in that like day that was just so traumatic for everybody. And so like for me, showing up for myself emotionally, that's what that looks like when I let myself just be still and quiet and cry and meditate and like
Yep.
visit with my dad in my like meditation.
Mm.
And like just those moments are my self-care emotionally. Intellectually, my self-care is when like I dedicate my Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and I crush it. I'm like meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting to doing this, email, blah, blah, blah. That's
Hmm.
my intellect being like, we got this.
Yep.
And then I'd say for body, I'm very much about like making time for movement, whether it's a walk
Hmm.
with the dogs, getting fresh air. I love Barry's boot camp. We've got Way in there. It's so exciting.
I know. And I love that. I actually had to Google because you wrote like a little cryptic message about how the brand that was previously there um, gave you some weird feedback.
Yeah,
But
they had reached out to a brand. I won't say who it was, but I
yeah.
reached out with this idea in 2014 of a digitally connected hair care brand that like
Hmm.
the brand with its customers and was told, oh, bad idea. You're not famous enough. You should wait. And I was okay. Anyways, we just replaced them in the Barry soccer room.
Sorry.
I was having like a little like, salty moment or not.
Listen, you deserve it. You deserve it. We,
Um, and then spiritually, I'm trying to think of like how I self-care. Self-care
yeah.
spiritually. Honestly, do you know what it is for me, Chrissy? I don't know
Mm.
if you like this. Maybe it's a Pisces thing. Music for me is huge. Music will like is the thing that taps into
It's like a different frequency.
when I tell you how many times I have watched Kendrick's Super Bowl performance, Chrissy, not normal. I have my kids last night. I was like, guys, we're gonna watch it one more time. I just music for me is it. Like it's what my dad played music, like
Hmm.
he played the piano and like I just always had music around. My parents had a music store. So music
Oh.
thing. So that's how I like kind of show up spiritually. They'll like put on music and just like tap into whatever I need to.
I agree. It's like I think about it all the time because I love to go on walks and, and just put on music. And sometimes it's an intentional like album I want to listen to. Sometimes it's just, my music on shuffle and a song that I maybe was listening to on repeat like 5, 10 years ago comes on and it like just automatically like transports you to like a different time. But sometimes I'm like, the way that music makes me feel, I don't even know how to put it into words, but it is like, it's just transcendent.
And it's like there for us at certain parts of our life where you can hear a song and it reminds you exactly of like an ex-boyfriend or like a
Yeah.
somewhere you were. And it's funny at Maine in a lot of our like marketing meetings, I kind of pushed the team to go back and I always ask everyone, I'm like, remember when you first got your driver's license and you could get in the car and listen to whatever you wanted to, and that feeling of freedom and what those
Hmm.
songs meant to you. And like,
Yes.
and like that is the emotion that we want to like evoke. We want to like tap into
Mm,
of your life of just being like freedom and like choice and and like the future ahead. You're just so optimistic. And I don't know, for me, like music is so, so powerful.
I agree. What would your younger self think about you today?
I think my younger self would be really proud of where we're at. Yeah, I think my younger self is not surprised by the fact that like we finally met Paula Abdul. Got to do Cindy Crawford's hair, and like we got to do Gwen Stefani for the cover of Vogue. Like my younger self like knew that was gonna happen all along.
I love it. How has losing your home changed your perspective?
Oh, well, I'm a month in,
Yeah.
um, without like sobbing. I will tell you that the thing that is the hardest part is you do remember every day something that was special to you that was in there.
Hmm.
Um, I would say at the beginning of this conversation, You were talking about my accolades and just all these big moments. I had like this, like, I actually got to save it, but it was a letter from my dad. There was a really great postcard that Virgil Abloh wrote me.
Mhm.
I all of those, a lot of those things from like early Ouai merch, the
Mhm.
Glossier, that gray sweatshirt I saved because
Oh
I'm
my god.
so proud of Emily. Like all these things that just meant like so much. I had like the Kylie lip kits because Mike took the picture of Kylie's lips for that. And I had the first boxes and like, all these things like that remind me of different parts of my career, all of the fashion invites from 2007, 2008.
I just got the chills even just thinking about the
Just like
loss of that.
my backstage pass from the Madonna tour, all of the first editorials I've ever done, the Vogue cover I just talked about with Gwen, like these moments that made up my life and meant so much to me are gone. And
Yeah.
for me, and you even mentioned it too, you were talking about like kind of the evolution in who I am now. And like what, so for me, it's been teaching me those things meant so much to me and they're always going to be there and they're part of my DNA and they're part of what got me to where I am today.
Mhm.
Physically gone.
Yes.
So who am I now? And what's important to me? And I'm not gonna come and say like, oh, it's just stuff. It fucking
I hate I know. I hate people who are saying that.
feel like this like 25-year life that I've created in LA, the physical of it's gone, all the things, it's gone. And it's really hard to process that. But it makes you tap into what do I have?
Yeah.
What am I going to care about going forward? I'm not as attached. I haven't bought myself socks yet. Like it's a month in, I still haven't bought like workout leggings. It's daunting and it feels overwhelming, but it's weird. The way that I describe it is like if you've ever lost a family member, you feel this like you have to grow around the grieving and you have to like
Mhm.
learn like you're like how the world's moving on. You have to learn to like self-regulate and just take care of yourself. But once I get to that place, it's like I'm also in a group chat with like our neighbors and like seven
Yeah.
homes were lost. And like my father-in-law is 86. He lost his home. He's starting over from scratch. And like he lost
Mm.
of his kids over the last 30 years in this house. Pictures of his parents, like, so I can like feel bad for myself. And then I get out of that and I'm like, no, this is on a whole other level.
Yeah.
Like this is everyone's loss at the same time. And it just feels really heavy. But like the thing I can do, Chrissy, that I have control over is trying to prepare people and saying like disaster does not like discriminate. Like it will hit at any time when you
Yep.
it. So like the things that you care about and the things that you love, keep in a box that you can easily throw in a car. Have an escape plan. We are living in an extreme weather climate and environment, and it's not going to get better tomorrow. And so everyone
No.
needs to be prepared. We see it all the time. And it's shocking and I hope that I can help people to process it and try to find their light because it's a really, really, really hard time right now for a lot of families in LA.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I also have
Like,
so much empathy. I have so much
yeah.
empathy for disaster. I saw a woman in the city council meeting yesterday in Malibu who lost her home to a fire in Northern California. And now she volunteers for any sort of disaster relief in different places around the US. And I thought, what a fucking great way of like taking your pain and making something great out of it. And
Absolutely.
so if anything, like I just think the hard things in life help me to have empathy and show up and try to like encourage people to put their oxygen mask on and keep going. And like
Mhm.
even in like the political climate, like there's I know that a lot of us want to like crawl under the covers and just stay there. But like we have to show up and we have to show up for one another and we have to not
Yep.
be alone because we're not
Mhm.
just keep moving forward and inspiring younger people to do the same.
I agree. I think if anything, what's happening right now actually just makes me feel like more fortified in my purpose and what I believe like my mission is here on earth, and it's like to help people in the ways that I have the power to, and that's having conversations like this or talking about mental health. It's like I cannot change policy, I can make the calls and do all the things and send the emails, but I feel really good about the ways in which I know I can make a difference.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, we got to show up and do our best. We got to catch our breath, but we got to show up and we got to like, like I said at the very beginning of this convo, like I grew up in a very oppressed society. I know what it looks like. I know
Mhm.
like how people feel safe in it.
Mhm.
It's not just and it's not fair. And like, nothing changes if we hide. So, and my house just burned down and I'm still got the fight in me, you know?
That's yeah, and that says so much about who you are.
Yeah.
And that
Well,
Sagittarius energy of the I'm like, it always comes back to that. I'm
I know.
like, that it makes so much sense because Pisces, like, we're the dreamers, but sometimes Pisces have trouble, like, self-actualizing, but because you have the fire of Sagittarius from your rising, your
Yeah.
moon, that's what gives you the energy to actually make shit happen. Because you
Yeah.
do. That's what you
Yeah.
do. Final question, and I know this is actually a really tough question after what we just talked about, but what is bringing you joy right now? Are you able to access joy?
I would say nature is bringing me joy. I feel very like one with the animals right now because
Mm,
I felt my shelter, my safe place being taken so violently.
yeah,
I know that. You know
yeah.
what I mean? And I feel just so much empathy for wildlife and for animals, and that like brings me joy being around it. And
Mhm.
I feel very blessed to be able to be in Seattle and like have fresh air and clean air. And
Yeah.
what else is bringing me joy right now? I'm getting there. I think it's weird. It's like the weird random moments in the day where like I'm not thinking about what just happened,
Good. Yeah.
where it's like you just forget for a while. And it could be me just even like talking to a friend on the phone about bullshit
Right.
or like, watching like a funny movie or, just kind of feeling like somewhat neutral, normal. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, those are the moments. And then like I'll
Good.
wake up sometimes in the morning, I'll look at Mike and I go, our house burned down. Did you ever think in your whole life? And he's like, no. And, you know, we're slowly coming out of the fog of it all, but
Yeah.
I think the joy for me is really just like being of service. I felt a lot of joy going to those GoFundMe accounts and continuing to do and help other people. That is
I
my joy.
know.
And it's interesting because everyone's like, "Oh, you're showing up with so much grace and resilience," and I'm like, the only thing getting me through this is being able to be of service, to be able to have the brands show up, to be able to have without my prompting, by the way. I saw Highlight Agency make kits for people that needed that lost their kits in the fire. I saw
Mhm.
Maine showing up for the Altadena girls and like giving
Yeah.
product, and Way showed up in so many different ways and gave product and donations. And like we like canceled our holiday parties, and I did not ask them to do this. They canceled their holiday parties and we gave the budgets to help victims of the fire. And like that's the kind of people that I want to work with,
Abs
like
absolutely. Also, I think, in spite of the tragedy, it's like I feel like everyone's talked about this. Like, the most beautiful thing is actually watching how a community can actually show up for one another. And it's like, how can we do this all the time and keep this going without there having to be a tragedy?
we will. I mean, I think about when I started this brand, we launched in 2016, January, no, February. We just
Mm.
our 9-year anniversary. So like in 2016, the political climate was nuts. There's
Yeah.
a lot of stuff that happened. Um,
Mhm.
so like I feel if anything more equipped and prepared, and we've seen some shit, and like we show up together as a community, and like this fire, to go back to your question of like what has it taught me? It taught me that like I don't have faith in government and leadership. I have all the faith in community and my neighbors.
Mhm.
all around me and the people that I love and that I work with, I have faith in those people.
Yeah. Jen Atkin, thank you so much for being here today. I truly appreciate you and you're giving me your time. And I find you as a human being to be very transcendent as well. And that's why, as I said, you've been one of my biggest dream guests to talk to.
Well, I'm so honored that you finally asked me. And like I said, I don't like have a lot of time to do this very often, but like
I
I
know.
definitely wanted to show up for you and it's in such a raw time in my life, but I felt like safe to be here to talk about all that. And I
I
appreciate
appreciate
you making space and time for me.
Of course.
And I'm
Of
so proud of
course.
you and all the things that you're doing. It's so awesome. And like I said, I just live vicariously through you. You're Carrie Bradshaw. I just keep doing you. And I'm so excited to see what your future holds too, because I know you already have it manifested.
We'll see. We'll see
Yeah.
what I feel very good about like the next year and a half, especially because we have the nodes in Pisces and Virgo, so that's going to be bringing some interesting stuff for us.
Okay. I need to hear more about this
I
and
know.
learn about it.
I'll tell you it all, and hopefully I get to see you in person soon.
I would love that.